The world's second-largest agricultural exporter isn't the United States, China, or Brazil. It's a country so small you could drive across it in just a few hours. Yet somehow, the Netherlands helps feed millions of people across the globe. But how did this tiny nation achieve what seemed impossible? Think about this. The Netherlands covers only about 41,000 square kilometers, making it smaller than many regions around the world. Even more surprising, much of that land was once underwater. Yet today, every square meter works with remarkable efficiency. Most people never realize that nearly one-third of the Netherlands lies below sea level. For centuries, the Dutch weren't just growing food. They were fighting the sea itself. And that battle shaped one of history's greatest agricultural success stories. Imagine trying to build farms where the ocean once existed. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. Yet generation after generation, Dutch engineers drained lakes, reclaimed land, and transformed water into some of Europe's most productive farmland. But land alone doesn't explain this miracle. Countries with far more farmland produce less value from every hectare. The real advantage of the Netherlands came from a completely different way of thinking. Instead of asking how to use more land, Dutch farmers asked a different question. How can every square meter produce more food with fewer resources? That single idea would eventually reshape global agriculture. Today, fresh vegetables, flowers, dairy products, and advanced farming technology leave the Netherlands every single day. From Europe to Asia and the Middle East, Dutch agriculture quietly powers food systems that most consumers never notice. Yet here's what nobody tells you. The greenhouses, the exports, and the record-breaking harvests are only the visible surface. Behind them lies a network of science, engineering, and bold decisions that changed agriculture forever. And that's where our story truly begins. To understand this success, we have to go back centuries. The Netherlands wasn't born with fertile land or endless natural resources. Instead, it became a nation shaped by survival, where every flood forced people to innovate rather than surrender. For hundreds of years, windmills did far more than grind grain. They powered pumps that drained lakes, lowered water levels, and protected entire communities. Without these engineering breakthroughs, much of modern Dutch farmland simply wouldn't exist. By the 17th century, the Dutch Republic had become one of the world's greatest trading powers. Ships carried spices, textiles, timber, and grain across continents. That trading mindset would later become just as important as farming itself. But prosperity didn't last forever. Wars, economic competition, and industrial change challenged the Dutch economy. Farmers faced a difficult question: produce more using limited land, or risk being left behind. Then came the Second World War. Food shortages devastated the country, and during the harsh winter of 1944 and 1945, thousands of people died from hunger and related conditions. The memory of that tragedy permanently changed how the Dutch viewed food security. After the war, feeding the population became a national priority. Government leaders, scientists, engineers, and farmers agreed on one mission: never allow hunger to threaten the country again. That decision would influence every generation that followed. Instead of expanding farmland, the Netherlands invested in knowledge. Agricultural research, better seeds, efficient irrigation, and modern farming techniques became national priorities. The country chose innovation over expansion. Universities, private companies, and farming families began working together instead of competing alone. New discoveries moved from laboratories to greenhouses and fields at remarkable speed. Few countries had built such a tightly connected agricultural ecosystem. The results soon became impossible to ignore. Crop yields increased, resource use became more efficient, and Dutch farming earned a global reputation for quality and reliability. Yet the biggest breakthrough was still waiting just ahead. By the late 20th century, the Netherlands had transformed itself into an agricultural powerhouse unlike any other. But here's what nobody expected. The country's greatest strength wasn't its farms. It was the invisible network connecting science, logistics, technology, and global trade. And that's where everything changes. The transformation didn't happen by accident. After the Second World War, Dutch leaders realized that simply producing more food wasn't enough. The country needed to produce more with fewer resources. That single decision became the foundation of a completely new agricultural model. Instead of treating farmers as isolated workers, the government encouraged cooperation between researchers, universities, businesses, and growers. Every new discovery was designed to reach the field as quickly as possible. Innovation became a national system, not an individual effort. At the heart of this revolution stood Wageningen University and research. Over time, it became one of the world's leading agricultural research institutions, attracting experts from every continent. Many of today's farming innovations were refined within its laboratories. But here's what nobody tells you. Research alone doesn't feed the world. Every breakthrough had to prove itself inside real farms, under real conditions, with real financial risks. That constant testing made Dutch agriculture stronger year after year. Then came the greenhouse revolution. Instead of depending entirely on unpredictable weather, Dutch growers built controlled environments where temperature, humidity, light, and water could all be carefully managed. Farming was becoming an exact science. Inside these greenhouses, every drop of water mattered. Advanced irrigation systems delivered moisture directly to plant roots, dramatically reducing waste compared with traditional farming. In many cases, the same water could even be collected, filtered, and reused. Technology didn't replace farmers. It gave them better information. Sensors measured soil conditions, computer systems monitored plant health, and data helped growers make faster, smarter decisions. Experience and technology worked side by side. As production increased, another challenge appeared. Growing food was only half the battle. Fresh vegetables and flowers had to reach international markets quickly while maintaining exceptional quality. Speed became just as valuable as productivity. Yet this was only the beginning. Producing high-quality food was one achievement. Delivering it across continents with incredible speed and precision would become the Netherlands' greatest competitive advantage. And that's where the story takes another unexpected turn. The Netherlands understood something many countries overlooked. Harvesting crops was only the first step. The real competition began after the harvest, when speed, storage, and transportation determined whether food arrived fresh or spoiled before reaching customers. At the center of this system stands the port of Rotterdam, Europe's largest seaport. Every day, thousands of containers move through its terminals, connecting Dutch farms with supermarkets, wholesalers, and food processors across the globe with remarkable efficiency. But sea routes weren't enough. High-value products like fresh flowers, specialty vegetables, and premium seeds often travel by air. Amsterdam Schiphol Airport became one of Europe's most important gateways for time-sensitive agricultural exports. One of the country's most valuable exports isn't food at all. It's knowledge. Dutch companies design greenhouse systems, irrigation technology, climate control software, and high-quality seeds that help farmers increase production in countries around the world. Yet success created new challenges. Modern greenhouses require significant energy, and rising energy prices increased production costs. Farmers were forced to invest in cleaner technologies, geothermal heating, and more efficient systems to stay competitive. Environmental concerns also grew louder. Reducing nitrogen emissions, protecting biodiversity, and balancing economic growth with sustainability became national priorities. The next chapter of Dutch agriculture would be shaped not only by productivity, but by responsibility. Even with these pressures, the Netherlands remained among the world's leading agricultural exporters by value. Not because it had the most land, but because it combined science, logistics, technology, and decades of experience into one highly efficient system that few nations have matched. But here's the biggest surprise of all. The Netherlands doesn't dominate global agriculture because of a single invention or one brilliant policy. Its true advantage is an entire ecosystem where farmers, scientists, engineers, ports, airports, and technology companies work together as one. And in the next chapter, we'll uncover how this invisible network quietly influences food security across the entire world. By now, you might think the secret is simply better farming. But here's what nobody tells you. The Netherlands doesn't just produce food, it has perfected the entire journey from seed to supermarket. And that invisible system is where the real advantage begins. Everything starts with planning. Months before a single seed enters the soil, growers study market demand, weather forecasts, export contracts, and customer preferences. They're not simply growing crops, they're growing exactly what the market is expected to need. Once harvesting begins, timing becomes everything. Vegetables are picked at peak freshness, quickly sorted, carefully inspected, and packed within hours. Every minute saved helps preserve quality before products begin their journey around the world. Then the cold chain takes over. Refrigerated warehouses, temperature-controlled trucks, specialized containers, and cargo terminals work together without interruption. Break that chain for even a short time and an entire shipment can lose its value. Think about this. A tomato grown in the Netherlands can be harvested in the morning and begin its journey towards supermarkets in another European country the very same day. That level of speed creates an enormous competitive advantage. Behind these operations are agricultural cooperatives that help thousands of farmers share knowledge, processing facilities, marketing networks, and negotiating power. Working together allows even smaller farms to compete on a global scale. Financing is just as important as farming. Modern greenhouses, automation systems, and climate control technology require major investments. Dutch financial institutions and specialized agricultural lenders have helped many growers modernize over decades. Technology continues to monitor crops every hour of every day. Sensors measure temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide levels, and plant health, allowing growers to respond before small problems become expensive losses. The same philosophy extends beyond vegetables. Dutch dairy farms use advanced monitoring systems to improve animal health, while flour growers coordinate production around global holidays and seasonal demand. Nearly every decision is guided by data and careful planning. Yet even this extraordinary system depends on something much larger. Every harvest still needs ships, railways, highways, airports, and international trade partners working together flawlessly. And that's where the Netherlands gains another advantage that few countries can match. The Netherlands sits in one of the most strategic locations in Europe. Within a day's drive, trucks can reach hundreds of millions of consumers across countries like Germany, Belgium, France, and beyond. Geography didn't guarantee success, but it gave the Dutch an opportunity they refused to waste. Roads alone couldn't handle this volume of trade. An extensive network of inland waterways, canals, railways, and highways allows goods to move efficiently between farms, ports, warehouses, and international markets with remarkable reliability. But transportation is only part of the story. The Netherlands is also a global leader in seed development. Decades of research have produced high-quality vegetable seeds that farmers across the world rely on for stronger yields and greater consistency. Think about this. A farmer growing tomatoes in another continent may be using Dutch seeds, Dutch greenhouse technology, or Dutch irrigation systems without consumers ever realizing it. The Netherlands exports expertise just as successfully as it exports food. This global reach also creates resilience. If demand falls in one market, exporters can often redirect products elsewhere. Years of experience and long-term trade relationships help reduce risk in an industry where timing is everything. Yet no system is invincible. Climate change, extreme weather, rising energy costs, labor shortages, and global supply chain disruptions continue to test even the world's most advanced agricultural network. Success demands constant adaptation. That's why innovation never stops. Researchers continue improving crop varieties, reducing water consumption, lowering emissions, and developing smarter technologies to help agriculture remain productive in an uncertain future. Most people see tomatoes, flowers, or dairy products. They rarely see the scientists, engineers, logistics planners, breeders, drivers, and technicians working behind the scenes. Together, they form an ecosystem where every link strengthens the next. And this is where everything comes together. The Netherlands didn't become an agricultural superpower because it had the most land. It succeeded by connecting science, finance, infrastructure, education, and global trade into one highly efficient machine. But the story isn't over yet. As the world's population grows and climate pressures increase, the Dutch model is becoming more important than ever. The question is no longer how the Netherlands feeds the world, but whether the rest of the world can learn from the Netherlands. And that's the challenge we'll explore next. By now, the Netherlands has become far more than a successful farming nation. It has become a global agricultural classroom. Every year, governments, researchers, and farming professionals travel here to study ideas that are now influencing food production across every continent. Think about this. A farming technique developed inside a Dutch greenhouse today could improve harvests thousands of kilometers away just a few years later. That's because the Netherlands exports ideas almost as successfully as it exports vegetables, flowers, and dairy products. One surprising fact often goes unnoticed. Despite its relatively small size, the Netherlands has consistently ranked among the world's leading agricultural exporters by value, second only to the United States in recent years. That achievement reflects efficiency, technology, and high-value production rather than sheer land area. But the real impact goes beyond trade. Dutch seed companies, greenhouse designers, irrigation specialists, and agricultural consultants help improve food production in dozens of countries. Many people benefit from Dutch innovation without ever realizing where it originated. Food security has become one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. As populations grow and climate conditions become less predictable, countries are searching for ways to produce more food while using fewer resources. The Dutch model offers one possible path forward. Of course, the Netherlands is not alone. Agricultural giants like the United States, Brazil, China, and Spain each dominate different parts of the global food system. Some produce massive grain harvests, while others lead in fruit, soybeans, meat, or rice. Yet the Dutch compete differently. Instead of relying on vast amounts of land, they focus on precision, quality, technology, and value. It's a strategy that allows a small country to compete alongside nations many times its size. Another surprising fact is that the Netherlands is also the world's largest exporter of cut flowers by value. Every day, millions of flowers pass through advanced auction and distribution systems before reaching customers around the globe. And this influence continues to grow. Investments in robotics, artificial intelligence, vertical farming, and sustainable energy are helping Dutch agriculture prepare for the next generation of food production. The future is already taking shape inside today's research facilities. But every advantage comes with new responsibilities. Rising sea levels, climate uncertainty, energy costs, and growing global demand will test even the Dutch system in the years ahead. The next challenge may be greater than any the country has faced before. And that's where our story reaches its most important chapter. The biggest threat to Dutch agriculture may not come from competitors. It comes from nature itself. Rising sea levels, stronger storms, and shifting weather patterns are forcing the Netherlands to reinvent its food system once again, just as it has done for centuries. Climate change is already reshaping agriculture across the world. Longer droughts, heavier rainfall, and unpredictable growing seasons make food production more difficult. Dutch researchers are racing to develop crops and farming systems that can adapt to these new realities. Energy is another critical test. Modern greenhouses depend on reliable power for lighting, heating, and climate control. That's why growers are increasingly investing in geothermal energy, solar power, and more efficient technologies to reduce both costs and emissions. Another challenge is labor. As technology advances, farms increasingly need skilled technicians, engineers, and data specialists alongside experienced growers. The future farmer may spend as much time interpreting information as working in the field. Around the world, countries are now studying the Dutch model. From the deserts of the Middle East to densely populated Asian cities, controlled environment agriculture is helping produce more food where traditional farming has become increasingly difficult. But no single solution can feed the future alone. Every nation has different climates, resources, and economic realities. The Dutch experience offers valuable lessons, but success depends on adapting those lessons to local conditions rather than simply copying them. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this. Innovation becomes truly powerful only when governments, universities, businesses, and farmers move in the same direction. The Netherlands didn't build a miracle overnight. It built a system that continuously learns and improves. Most people will never see the hidden systems behind the food on their tables. They won't see the research laboratories, the water engineers, the logistics planners, or the greenhouse technicians. Yet every meal is connected to countless invisible decisions made long before the harvest. The Dutch story proves that size doesn't always determine influence. Vision, persistence, and decades of investment transformed one of Europe's smallest countries into one of the world's most influential agricultural powers. And that achievement continues to shape how millions of people are fed every single day. And that's the real answer to our opening question. The Netherlands doesn't feed the world because it has the most land. It feeds the world because it transformed every challenge into an opportunity to innovate. The future of global agriculture may look different in every country, but many of its most important ideas were refined here, in one remarkably small nation.